All right. Methinks that there's more to this board state than meets
No,
the
there
eye.
isn't. I'm sitting on two giants that I can't cast, and a spell that I was supposed to play several turns ago and can't anymore.
I'm going to pay 4 and tap the lieutenant. And with my lieutenant play, I'm going to get from my army of buddies. I'll get the steadfast guard.
Who has vigilance?
It's a vanilla 2/2 with vigilance, but he does have summoning sickness because as cool as the rebels are, they haven't. This was before Boros started ramping up as a good play into if you're playing
Well,
white. Because
it's before Boros even exists. Radnica straight up does not exist during Mercadian Masques yet.
Correct. So they did not think to start giving cards like Rebels, who are type dependent and do not. That's another thing too, is that you do not necessarily have to get a white colored creature. You can get a creature of any color as long as it's a Rebel type. I'm also going to do a search later on to see if there are any Rebels that fit that description. But for now,
because allies specifically came out, during a Zendikar. Revisited Zendikar, rather. All right.
So that's 5, 8, 10, 11 damage declared.
So 1, 3, 4, 7, 9. You sure it's 11? I'm not. I think I'm counting 12.
Well, so remember, my Remosian lieutenant on the end there was already tapped.
Oh,
because
right.
I tapped him to get the steadfast guard out, so that's 11 damage.
4, 6, 9, 11. And yes, I'll declare no blockers.
Okay. Your arrested airship has just put you in the doghouse.
Yes. I am now at -2 life. Good game, Mr. Cloud.
Good game, Mr. Gerdat. So,
would you like to see what my giants
we
were?
I'd like to, in a manner, yes. They're the Krakens. Those are Krakens.
While I was doing draw testing, I was actually really surprised how well the depletion lands allow you to play into your top ends much quicker than normal. However, then you have the problem of, hey, what's your plan after you have your top end out? And that is the big issue that mercenaries end up having. They can't get to their top end, and then when they're at their top end is get a bunch of lower guys out. If you will allow me to showcase this.
Yeah, we can go to the showcase now.
So
we've
the biggest
3 games.
The biggest mercenary that I'm running specifically is Carteran Enforcer, who did actually get to show up. And to be perfectly honest, a Carteran Enforcer is actually okay. It's a bit understated for 5, but not at this point in Magic's history. And it has fear, meaning it's a relatively interesting decision to choose if you're going to swing or if you're going to bring out dudes with him. The problem is that the dudes that you're bringing out with him, at least on 3 specifically, are, well, these guys. And, these are not actually terrible, to be perfectly honest, but they're not great. No, they are not great.
Yeah, that's one thing that I noticed about mercenaries is, from what I've observed, is not only are they kind of on the weaker side, is that while the rebels are laddering up, these guys are laddering down. So basically, anytime you draw into a mercenary that says you could tap it and put a mercenary from your deck onto the battlefield, you're at a dead. The only thing that you can do is put creatures on the board, but these creatures are not necessarily going to be more powerful than the ones you already have.
Man, I would have loved to play with Power Matrix. I didn't see that was here. Damn.
You may sacrifice 3 black creatures instead of paying Delrike's mana cost. Interesting.
So the idea behind Delrike specifically was for me is all right, I'm going to ramp into Carteran Enforcer, use the extra lands I've got left over in order to get a bunch of the weaker mercenaries out, like strong arm thug or bog smugglers, and then sacrifice the weaker mercenaries in order to bring out Delrike. But the problem that I ended up having is that's not what Delrake wants to do. Delrake wants you to have a bunch of tiny black critters in order to go into it. And,
Right.
yeah, the tiny black critters in this set, even the one-drop mercenaries, are very bad. Molting Harpy will kill you before it kills your opponent, and that is not a good thing. Ugh.
Yeah, you don't want to die before your opponent dies. I agree. All right, let's see if I can build the ladder here. Okay, what's the first step of the ladder?
It's the one drop.
One drop here. It's the one drop. Always start from the beginning, like a good story. That would be the sergeant. The sergeant goes into the lieutenant. The lieutenant goes into the captain.
The captain goes
I'm going to find the captain
commander.
really soon.
Commander goes into Sky Marshal, and then...
And the Sky Marshal goes into the Cho Aram Bruiser.
Okay.
That has, whenever it attacks, you may tap up to 2 target creatures.
Yeah, so my giant primeval shambler that you let me had would not have mattered.
Good lord. Okay, there's the commander, and then it's the commander actually who goes into.
No, it's commander that goes into Sky Marshal.
This is the data. Oh, right. Commander goes in it because Sky Marshal is the one. Because the problem with Sky Marshal is that paying 7 for anything is asking quite a lot. And of course, the mascot who caused me to die, but I forgive him, Chomano Revolutionary, who shares seven the Chronoclasm also has an ability that says that it cannot be dealt damage by anything.
Okay.
I mean, if Chomano was the inspiration for 7 the Chronoclasm, then fine. I think that 7 is a much better creature because it also gives you flashback options.
All right, so yeah, this is more or less how this matchup ends up going. The mercenaries try to use their lower drop cards in order to trade into the rebels. The rebels just decide to take 10 damage and then win the game because from Captain is honestly a really powerful creature for this time in Magic's history. A three drop that's 2/2 with first strike. Especially since you'll notice that a majority of my creatures have approximately 2 health.
Yeah. First strike would be a good answer.
Yeah. I mean, my Skulking Fugitive is nice, but the only thing that my Skulking Fugitive, actually does is, attempt to protect me against... I do get decent protection against your attacks with Skulking Fugitive, but you... Is Afterlife the only thing that you're running that's got targeting on it? I know Leyline does Leyline. I'm not sure if Leyline targets the creature that it puts the counter on.
It does, yeah.
But it's set on target creature of their choice. Okay, yeah, that's clear enough. All right, so I can't actually put the counters on Skulking Fugitive from Leyline.
Because...
Yeah, green is still trying to do fair play stuff at this point in Magic's history, which is interesting, certainly, but you saw that it cost Cloud the game because, that is what fair play actually means. Your opponent gets the advantages before you do.
Yeah, Leyline is... I could see why it fell out of use. Cards are cool when they give everybody at the table a chance. I think that Magic should have lots of cards that involve everybody because
our most popular format is Commander.
So, because at once, people are just waiting for their opponent to go through their cards, they're checking their phone, they're sipping coffee, and then suddenly says, okay, everybody, now everybody's effective. What? I get to draw cards? I get to put +1/+1 counters on my creatures before you do? I get to draw cards before you do and then destroy the thing that says that you can draw cards when it's your upkeep? Yeah, fair play, definitely use sparingly. It's nice to be liberal with the effects that you give to everybody like candy, but don't just hand your opponent the game because you feel like being cool. You'll look like a loser.
Yeah.
Because losers lose games.
So, Mercadian Masques. To be perfectly honest, we did do the exploration between Rebels and Mercenaries that that we knew was going to happen. But the set outside of this particular mechanic is interesting, but not all that great. Like we get access to some interesting stuff in here, like the Drake hatchling being able to pump itself up one. We get shade breathing. You know, there are interesting concepts in this set. I think that if you stay away from mercenaries, this set is actually decently fun to play with. But like Kateran Enforcer is like the only mercenary that was worth running. I swear. I was already running alley grifters, but I was running alley grifters because I needed 3 drops. I wasn't running it because it was a mercenary.
Right. That we come to the decisions we have, also considering that each set that we play it has its limitations, and these limitations cannot be easily overridden by sweet deck choices. Sometimes you just pick the card because the alternatives are not much better.
I admittedly was not supposed to pick Tidal Kraken, but Hims is so cool. He's an 8. He's a 6/6 that can't be blocked. Surely, if he hits the field, it's gonna be awesome, right? And then he costs 8. So
well, I mean, in theory, you have a 6/6 with unblockable by turn 5 if you drew into the depletion lands on each of your first 4 turns. That was a deck construction nuance that I decided early on not to go into. Is, well, boy, wouldn't it be great if I just stacked my deck with a bunch of like 4 drops and 6 drops and said, well, as long as I get my depletion lands out, I'll get them out early and then squish my opponent because while he's playing lower cards on a reasonable mana curve, I'm ramping the crap up and taking a tremendous risk by sacrificing the depletion lands that get me the spells in the first place while not having any mana in case things go wrong.
Because things are going to go wrong. I mean, it's black. That's what black is supposed to do.
I mean, seriously, turn 5, you get your Tidal Kraken. Turn 5, I play Afterlife. I turn your 6/6 unblockable into a 1/1 spirit,
who is still unblockable. So there.
You to, and at that point, you're sitting on 4 lands that can only be tapped 1 additional time, and you have like 2 other lands on the field. Like, you lose at that point.
All right, so this has been us exploring Mercadian Masques. It's a cool set, but I would advise staying away from it in a limited environment. It is very important for Magic's history, but I don't know. I would probably feel slightly better at this if I had decided to not do the Mercenaries versus Rebels things, but it's thematically appropriate for the set, damn it. What about you, Mr. Cloud?
Speaking of Rebels, I did want to finally pull up a list of Rebels that are not white-colored. For example, Ace, Fearless Rebel, with Nitro 9 and Doctor's Companion. We have also the Blight Speaker, a human rebel cleric that has tap abilities and also the ability to ramp up into other rebels. We also have the Big Game Hunter with Madness. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. So we could see here some examples as to how the rebels have cemented themselves into the veins of Magic the Gathering's creature pool, right to this very day, even up to the Deep Cavern Imp, a 2/2 with flying, haste, and it only costs 3, with an echo cost of discard a card.
Alright, everybody. This has been us exploring Mercadian Masques. Next time, I get to pick our set here. We might do pirate stuff. I don't know yet.
We could, yes. And always keep in mind that if you have a creature with haste, you might want to try using an ability that immediately gets it on the battlefield.
Indeed. Be safe, everybody.
And thank you so much for watching Rocket Rap Commentaries.